Hello everyone, so a much different video from me today. There was no Wolves the weekend, so I didn't do a video. And I felt like doing one. So what I thought I'd do is something completely different. As you know, I love football, Wolves, I love boxing. But for a good 8 years, from about 2009 to 2017, I was also obsessed with poker. I absolutely loved it. It was my go-to passion in my spare time. You might be thinking I was a gambling addict. I wasn't. I mean, I never was at much chance of losing loads of money because I was really tight, and I only played micro tournaments, like micro stakes online. I only played 2 major tournaments in the live arena, like at a proper casino. I played obviously little tournaments with 2 major ones for a lot of money, which didn't go too well, but I will get to that. But online I did okay. My online results, I'll get a picture up here. I think I cashed for about $35,000 in online tournaments throughout those 8 years. Obviously that's not profit because it don't count for entries and the times you lost, but I was probably up a little bit online over the 8 years. I didn't lose loads basically, but I did lose live, which I will get into. So what I thought I'd do is give you my little background of how I got into poker, and then I'll go on to the story of how I ended up in Las Vegas playing in the World Series of Poker. Hope you enjoy this. Please like and subscribe if you're new. So yeah, I discovered poker in 2009. I was in sixth form at the time, just after leaving high school. And my friend whipped out a deck of cards one day, whipped out some poker chips, and we started playing all the time because we had a lot of free time. Because obviously in sixth form, you do, don't you? You have a lot of free periods. So got the bug from there. Then I started watching every poker show I could watch on YouTube and on TV, like the World Series of Poker, main event shows, the WPT, EPT, any poker show I'd watch it. Absolutely loved it. And then, once I hit 18, I actually deposited on an online poker site called Full Tilt Poker, which unfortunately is not around these days. It liquidated in 2011, or just after, because a thing called Black Friday happened in America, and online poker actually got banned. So I was a bit worried that poker wouldn't carry on after that, but it did in Europe and Canada. Anyway, my third ever poker tournament I played on Full Tilt Poker was a $3 tournament. I can't remember how many players it had, about 300 players, and I won it for $260. So at this point, I think I'm going to be a professional. I think I'm amazing. But obviously I wasn't. Poker's such a tough game. The best quote I've heard is, poker's a lot like sex. Everybody thinks they're good at it, but they're not. That was from a player called Dutch Boyd. And it's so true. You think you're really good, but you're not. Most people who become professional, which is not a lot by the way, are really clever. They dedicate their life to it. High IQs, really good bankroll management, not degenerates basically, and it's very, very tough to become a professional poker player. Even the pros these days get backed by big backers, and you know, they're clever with their money, and really talented players are not always winners because they're not disciplined. That's the truth. But like I mentioned, I was really tight, so I was never in risk of losing loads of money. I only used to deposit like $10 and $20 on an online poker site and try and run it up to like $500 or $1,000 and then take it off. A few of my highlights in online poker were in around 2012. I won $2,000 in one tournament, came 6th out of about 12,000 players. I'll try and get a picture up of that, which was huge at the time. It was a turbo, so it was a bit of luck. But then in like late 2013, I joined a free online training site called Grips to Poker by Evan Jarvis, and this actually improved me quite a lot. And my best year in poker online was in 2014, where I qualified for a tournament called the Sunday Warm-Up, $200 entry, but I qualified for $8. I ended up coming 11th for $4,300, and that was crazy at the time. Biggest result I had. Just before that, I did really well in Footy Accumulators, the online website you might know about. Did a poker series on 888 Poker, and I'll get a few pictures up here, what they put on their Facebook, but I got off to a flyer. Won the first few weeks. Yeah, so when you win on the night, you win like, I think it was about $500 at the time, and I won a few, come second in a few. And then at the end of the series, there was a big showdown after a leaderboard. I came second in that, and I actually come second on the actual final night as well. So that was another 1,000 or so, maybe more actually, probably near enough $2,000 won there too. But obviously it weren't always wins. I had big long spells where I didn't win any tournaments, and I'd deposit $10 and $20 on and keep losing. So it's not all rosy. There was obviously a lot of losing moments too, but I did okay online. So let's go on to live poker now, because this leads up until how I ended up playing in Las Vegas. So in 2014, I was going to Las Vegas on holiday anyway. And the plan while I was over there was to go to the World Series of Poker, which is like the Super Bowl of poker. Whatever you compare it to anything massive in an individual sport, and this is the creme de la creme. This is huge. Big tournament poker series. I was going to go and watch. Just before I went, I'd won that $4.5 grand I mentioned in the Sunday warm-up. So I was a bit like, oof, what can I do with this? But I never planned to play because I think the minimum entry in 2014 for an event in the World Series of Poker was $1,000. So I got there. Had a walk round, had a few pictures, did the touristy stuff, met a few of the players, met Daniel Negreanu, met Jason Mercier, met Scott Seaver. If you know poker, you'll know these people. Watched Phil Ivey play, watched him win his 8th bracelet actually, which was a huge honour to watch. And then I had a YOLO moment. I was like, sod it. We had a bit of a dilemma because I think we went and watched Calvin Harris in Wet Republic. I'll show you a picture now of me, with him in the background. So he was buzzing on that, and I was like, should I play, should I not? Anyway, I walk into the Rio, where the World Series of Poker is held, walk up to the cashier, and I just go, wallop. Enter me in, event, whatever. $1,000, please, sir. Oh, God. I must have lost my head. So, yeah, entered a poker tournament for $1,000. Ended up doing okay. I was very shocked, because throughout my whole life, I'd only played online poker, mainly. Obviously, I'd played down the pub and with mates, but not in like a big event like this where you assume it'd be full of professional poker players and really good players. But honestly, the standard of play was similar to playing a $10 tournament online. I was so shocked. So I did okay. I didn't cash. I did get knocked out about 100 places before the money. My pocket kings lost to Jack 4 against his old American fella. Pretty unlucky. I was gutted, but what an experience playing with some of my heroes. And it was a bucket list moment to play in the World Series of Poker. Just to be there was mad, but to actually play in one, you might think I'm crazy, $1,000 down the drain, but obviously I justified it to myself because I'd won the $4 grand online a few weeks before. So yeah, the only other live tournament I ever played was in Coventry in 2015 at the Rico Arena. That was a £100 entry. I came 200th out of about, I think it's about 10,000 entered that, maybe a little bit less. But at the time, it was the biggest tournament in Europe, players-wise. And I came 200th place for about 400 quid. So I did win a bit live, but I also lost a lot. So definitely lost money playing live poker, but great experience. And a funny story from that Rico Arena event. I sat down on day one. I think it's on the Wednesday I played. Looked to my right. Who sat next to me? Ex-Fulham manager, Laurie Sanchez. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what's the chances of that? And he was probably quite big at the time, so I think he'd not long left Fulham and teams like that, or he'd managed someone else. But that was crazy, yeah. So not the best in the live arena, but that is my story of my poker obsession. After 2015, I played a few more years, and it got harder, so I kind of dwindled away, and then I found YouTube. So YouTube became my hobby outside of work and things like that, and took over the poker, really. I still play every now and then now, but not as much as I did. And some good stories from what come out of it. Obviously, I mentioned I joined Grips Poker, the training site. A lad called Charlie Carroll, who joined just before me, but at the time he was playing small stakes. He went on to win millions of pounds playing poker. Won like an EPT and won loads in cash games. Very clever lad. Obviously, he dedicated his life to it, and it just shows that people can be successful. And he's like an absolute genius. And funny story, if you watch the True Geordie podcast, I actually recommended to Brian, because back then Brian responded to Facebook messages because he weren't as big. I said, get Charlie Carroll on, up and coming poker player, and he did. He got him on. So that was just a little story there. And fair play to Charlie, fair play to Evan, who's still going strong and really did help my game. But I was never good enough to be professional. I never won loads of money in the grand scheme of things, but I absolutely loved poker. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that video. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I will be back with a Wolves video Friday, Wolves v Leicester, back to normal. Something different from me. If this gets uploaded, I'm happy with it. If not, you're not watching this right now. Anyway, please like, subscribe. See you all next video, and have a good one.